What's up, guys? It's been a while since we've been here on Ute Dash, but we are back and better than ever with a pretty good week of victories for the University of Utah. We had gymnastics that did extremely well the other day. Utah basketball got their first victory on the road in almost 3 years, which
we'll talk about that.
We'll talk about that. And then some awesome commits to the University of Utah football program. Let's go ahead and jump in.
Wait, Cole, you're forgetting about the biggest victory. The Buccaneers. Let's go.
Oh, yeah.
Let's go.
The Buccaneers. Well, Sammy, let's go ahead and dive in. And as of course, I'm always joined by the lovely Sammy Mora, the sports editor for the Daily Utah Chronicle. Sammy, go ahead and jump in. Tell us a little bit about what's going on with TJ Pledger and Chris Curry.
Yeah, so Utah got two huge commitments for running backs. The transfer portal being Utah's friend yet again. TJ Pledger is coming to us from Oklahoma, and Chris Curry is coming from LSU, where he was a starting running back on the 2019 national championship team. I'm not saying that's a big deal, but that's kind of a big deal for Utah to get him. He also wore, I think it's the number 18 is their jersey, which is very significant in the LSU program. It's for someone who shows tremendous leadership and is like a good person on and off the field. So I'm excited to see how he does, because not only is that it's like you get a good running back, but you're also getting a good leader, which is something that I think this Utah football team needs. I'm not saying it's dire, especially on this offense when you have people like Keithy and Ford who are going to come in and be captains, obviously, in my opinion. But it's still huge that we got these two big running backs. You know, it's really tragic that we were in the position we were in with our running back room going from 5 to 1 almost in a matter of, or 4 to 1 in a matter of a couple of weeks. But you know, like we've always said, in we trust, and I have faith in these two guys. I still have faith in Mekhi Bernard, and I think Ricky Parks, the incoming freshman. I think that this is going to be a really good running back room for Utah.
Yeah, I mean, of course, nobody will ever replace Ty Jordan, but for the coaching staff and the recruiters to go out and get two extremely talented players in such a short amount of time, it's not only impressive, but it's huge for the program. You know, with Ty Jordan's passing, it became obvious that the biggest hole moving forward in the offense was going to be the running back position. You know, we lost arguably the best running back in the entire Pac-12, and there was a lot of worries, but no longer. Utah just added 2 4-star running backs from 2 of the best programs in the country: Pledger from Oklahoma, Curry from LSU. So just give a little bit of background on these players and what they've done. So Pledger spent 3 seasons and played 23 games for the Sooners from 2018 to 2020. He got 179 rushing yards on 30 carries as a freshman in 2018. Moving on to sophomore year, Pledger had 65 yards on 10 attempts and 1 touchdown. And then the 2020 season, 451 yards, 95 carries, 5 touchdowns. Overall, that accounts for 135 carries for 695 yards and 6 total touchdowns. And then moving on to Chris Curry, 3 seasons with LSU, 2018 to 2020. He was a member, like you said, the 2019 national championship team. As a freshman, he played in 4 games, 8 carries for 2 yards, so not a lot there. He was able, however, to utilize his redshirt that season. And then as a redshirt freshman in 38 carries for 189 yards in 7 games. This past season, he recorded 45 carries for 145 yards. So, it's not, I don't think that we're replacing the talent of Ty Jordan, but this is best case scenario from that situation. You have 2 4-star guys coming from huge programs in arguably the 2 best conferences in the Power 5.
Yeah.
So it's huge. It's big, and it will create a really good contest to see who comes out on top as the starter. Or I wouldn't be surprised if we see a committee like we did at the beginning of this last season.
And that's like what I was going to say too, is the committee approach with this is really good, because you have Mekhi Bernard, who's been in the program for going on 3 years now. And I think Mekhi has a little bit from the film I've watched of Curry and Pledger, Mackay has some different attributes that these two don't. And I think that you have 3 very distinct style of runners coming into your backfield, and you don't know what they're going to do. Like, Mackay could be your backfield catcher. Curry could be your downhill runner, and Pledger could just be your sledgehammer. Like, there's different, like, all that's the thing is that I love so much about running backs is there's so many different possibilities that you can have in the position, and also how many different ways you can utilize them.
Yeah, so it provides a good opportunity. It solves a blaring issue, and I like how the Utah offense is looking now with these additions. You'll have a great race for the quarterback position, now a great race for the running back position, and all your entire arsenal of wide receivers and tight end coming back. So
I think it's also really good to see that this transfer portal is paying off for Utah. It's paying off really well, especially we've always had a good use of the portal, but I think this year, is, as of right now, this is the best year Utah's had with the portal being around. Like, yes, we did lose some like key players like Wilmore and Brumfield, which both of them found homes. Wilmore will be going to Fresno State and Brumfield will going to Tulane, so both of them back in their home states now. TJ Green going to Liberty. So it's like all of these guys are finding homes for us, which is good. I think Mufi Hill Hunt and Ben Lennon are the only 2 Utah football players left in the portal at this point, which good for us, good for the guys who are in the portal and who have gotten homes. But Utah's also done a good job at bringing people in. Like, you have 2 quarterbacks you brought in through the portal. You have 2 running backs you brought in through the portal. I wouldn't be surprised if we land some more, just because of how the portal's working this year and also how much Utah has available. Plus, there's always still the possibility that people transfer out after spring ball. That's something that we didn't see this year because spring ball didn't happen. Or last year, actually. We're in 2021 now. But that's something we didn't see last year because spring ball didn't happen. But if we have a regular spring ball this year, I wouldn't be surprised if a couple more guys hit the portal, which opens up scholarships for the coaching staff to go in and grab people to fill up those scholarships.
Yeah, and I think, as crazy as the 2020 season was for Utah, ending at 3-2, I think they showed a lot of resilience and they showed a lot of potential that I think impressed a lot of players who were considering leaving the programs that they were in. I think that's what really helped us to snag, the quarterbacks that we did.
Yeah, look at Brewer. Look at Brewer. He was at Baylor in 2019 when Utah was competing basically against Baylor to see who was going to have the possibility of earning a New Year's Six bowl bid. And you can't tell me that, like, yes, you try and focus on your team, but deep down inside that you are watching the other teams that are going for the same spot you're going for. Definitely.
So, this answers a lot of questions that I think a lot of fans had about, okay, where do we go from here? We just lost Ty Jordan tragically. Where do we move? And while it's tough to answer that question, I think it instills a lot of confidence in the program that they were able to do it so quickly. There's no way that was easy. There's no way that it was easy to have conversations amongst the coaching staff and the recruiters being like, okay, like, you guys know the situation. We have to find somebody now.
Yeah, I've said it before, and like both of those guys, both Pledger and Curry, entered the portal around the 20th of December. And second week of January, they were already here at Utah. And so I think I've said this before, and it's like football is a business. Like, as much as we don't want to acknowledge that, this is a business. You have to do what's best for the program and for the business. And we can never replace Ty Jordan and what he brought to this program, but at the end of the day, you got to look forward and figure out what's going to happen next. And with these 2 additions, with the quarterbacks we've added, with Devin Lloyd coming back, with Brant Keithy coming back, with Nick Ford coming back, and seeing all of the departures around the Pac-12, I don't know how anyone could pick against Utah for the 2021 season.
Definitely. It's looking good. I'm excited. I think they have a definite shot of taking the South and a real shot of taking the whole conference. So it'll be interesting to see. But let's move on to our second topic of the day, Sammy. Something I don't even know how to
Something
feel.
good and something bad. Let's be real here.
Yes. Well, there's a whole lot going on with this segment.
This is. Am I surprised at how much of a roller coaster this week has been for Utah men's basketball?
No. And that's exactly why that headline is there. Utah basketball, never too high, never too low. But to start things off here, so Utah finally won their first game on the road since 2018. And as I was preparing for the show, I was like, okay, so 2 years. And I was like, wait, that was 3 years ago. We're in 2021.
Yeah.
It was like February 6th or something that they last won on the road.
I was, not to like date myself, but that was my spring semester of my freshman year of college. And I'm a senior now. I am a senior. I'm sorry. How? The fact that I think this goes back to Larry and coaching, if we're being completely honest. Because if this had went on at any other program, he would have been shown the door a while ago. But I think his buyout is too high. I don't know what else. It's because he brings in like decent recruiting classes, which still baffles me to this day because not a lot of them end up staying in the program. They all transfer out. But like, if this was any other program, he would have been shown the door a while ago.
Oh, for sure. But let's talk about the win a little bit. So they beat Washington State, and I'd say Utah finally played a full 40 minutes. They outscored the Cougars 43-26 in the first half, and they just kind of rode that momentum. Washington State actually outscored Utah 30-28 in the second half, but Utah obviously had built up a big enough lead that it just didn't matter and ended up winning. Additionally, in that game, 5 Utes finished in double-digit scoring, so it definitely was a major team effort, and that's something that you want to see. I think especially in college basketball, it's not like the pros. It's not. I feel like it's really rare that you have someone that can come in and drop 35 to 40 points in a game. You don't have Kevin Durant out there. You don't have LeBron James. You don't have
Zach LaVine.
Yeah, there you go. You don't have Zach LaVine. Those types of guys are not. They're few and far between at the college level, especially for a program like Utah. And so you really need double-digit scoring from as many guys as you can get. I mean, too many times this season, the load has been carried on the back of Timmy Allen, and occasionally one or maybe 2 other players, but it's been resulting in losses because even if Timmy puts up, 20 points, 25 points, the rest of the team at times isn't finishing in double digit scoring. So when you have one guy putting up that and nobody else, it's really tough to win.
Also, you have the other team. I think you got to remember the other team is also scoring as well, and they could have multiple double-digit scorers on that team. And if Timmy is the only person who's able to produce, you're not going to win a game. Yep. You're not going to win.
Yep, and that was the issue against Oregon a couple weeks ago. That was the issue against Cal a few weeks back. So it's really frustrating. But back to the win. I think this was the best team effort and of the season. The Utes finished the game shooting 54% from the floor and 42% from 3, which I believe the 42% was a season high. So a decent showing, and they beat Washington State. And one comment here, it's a player that I've kind of been...
You haven't been the kindest to.
No, but I feel as though we deserve better, okay? So Rylan Jones, his shooting woes continued. I think he finished with like 5 points against Washington State and was like 1 for 3 or something like that. However, he did finish with 10 assists, which is a season high. And, obviously it's preferable for him to contribute more in the scoring column. But if he is going to not shoot the basketball and struggle to shoot the basketball,
the least he can do is dish it out.
Yes, he should be approaching that double-digit assist just about every single night. I mean, you're the starting point guard, and you have some pretty decent shooters and scorers on the team. So I'm happy with that performance against Washington State for him.
But then we had Payne again today. I'm gonna let you. Because I know you have some feelings about this one. I was flipping back and forth between this game and the Buccaneers game earlier. From the little bit I saw, it was not good. Not a good showing for the running Utes on this one.
No, first off, I don't appreciate that I have to spend my time watching them just completely blow it instead of watching football. Okay,
And it was a good Buccaneers game.
yeah, that's the first strike against you. Don't appreciate it. But so Utah comes into this game. They had just played extremely well against Washington State, and they're favored. And of course, they should be. Washington is terrible. I think they were before the game. They were 2-11, 1-7 in the conference. Okay, you should beat that Washington team, and they did earlier in the season. I believe
first game
76-62, something like that. So double-digit spread. Should have done it again this game. No. Now Washington came to play. They definitely came to play. They had several guys just completely leading out for them on the day. Two of their guards. I'm trying to remember what their names are, but they didn't play any defense. Both teams finished a 50% from the field, which is absolutely absurd for two teams to score at that pace and at that level. I don't feel like it happens very often. I mean, there's been a few times where Utah only scored 46 points in a game against USC, and Washington had several games like that where they were in the 40s and low 50s. So unfortunately for Utah, Jamal Bay, a guard for Washington, he finished with 28 points. He was 10 for 11 shooting the basketball. 4-4 from three-point range. Just absolutely ridiculous. I mean, there are situations in basketball where when a guy plays like this, there's really nothing you can do to stop him. So, but your focus should be stopping everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
Because, I mean, the guy shot almost 100% on 11 shots. And this was his career high performance. And so that was unfortunate for them. But what really, really hurt Utah is they were leading with about 1 minute and 30 seconds left. They're up by 2. They gave up a 7-0 run in the final 117 to Washington, lost by 4 points, and it was just turnovers. It was constant turnovers. Their last 4 possessions, they turned the ball over every single time. The first one, Ian Martinez throws a bad pass, turns it over. Washington gets an and one play and converts the free throw. The next play, Rylan Jones, my favorite player, dribbles baseline and just throws the basketball away. I don't even know where he's going with it. Following play, Timmy Allen throws the basketball away inside the paint, and the last play just didn't even matter. So, like we've said in previous shows, it's always something.
Mm-hmm. It's either bad shooting or turnovers or just not getting rebounds. Like they need to, if they're going to, the one thing we have talked about is the one thing that Utah basketball is consistent at is being inconsistent.
Yep.
Death, taxes, and Utah men's basketball blowing leads. Like
they led for over 30 minutes of the 40, and the game was tied for 5 of the remaining 10 minutes. You can't lead for 3/4 of a game, 75% of a game, and lose. It's just, it's exactly what Coach Krzysztofiak said today. Poor coaching. That's what I blame it on.
Because these guys are doing all they can. They're doing all they can with the exception of turnovers. That's nothing coaching can change that, but that's not like a big, like, if you're going to throw a bad pass, you're going to throw a bad pass.
Yeah.
Or if you're just going to throw the ball away, you're going to throw the ball away. Like, but it's coaching too, because like these guys have all of the power and the talent to win games. We've seen them win games, but then they have performances like this, and now it's just like, back to the road losses. Let's go.
Well, they really haven't been blown out much at all this season. They're in every single game, which shows that they can compete. But it's
just that they can't finish.
Can't finish. And a lot of times that comes down to coaching strategies. Who's on the floor at the end of the game. So, all right. Well, even though that was difficult, let's talk about another.
Let's end on a high note. High note.
Yes. Let's end on a high note. Sammy, I know that you got a lot to say about this one. You take it away.
I'm so happy. So Wednesday night, we all know, big news for the Pac-12. Larry Scott, no longer our commissioner come June 30th or come July 1st. Apparently the agreement was mutual. I would just like to say there is no way that is mutual. There is no way. It was probably the president's probably sat him down and was like, this ain't gonna cut it, bud. And then they were like, bye. And okay, yes, Larry Scott, Utah fans owe Larry Scott something because we're in the conference now, and not because of solely him. A lot of it was Dr. Chris Hill. But at the same time, like, Larry was the commissioner when we came into the conference. But at the same time, it's like he's also done nothing for us.
Yeah, no. Since then, nothing.
-0 things. And I think, because here's the thing: there are 3 things that the conference needs to figure out first and foremost when the new commissioner is installed. Okay, first, please, for the love of God, get us a good TV deal because I'm sick of having to not watch games when they're on Pac-12 networks.
Oh, I've got some statistics on that, Sammy. Just you wait.
Ooh, I love a good number. Second of all, reffing. Can we please, especially in football, can we figure out what is going on there? That needs to be figured out because no one's going to take us serious if our officials are a joke. Third and foremost is please move the offices out of San Francisco. Move them out. You know how much money they spend annually? It's like millions and millions of dollars on a loft space in San Francisco.
I think it's $7 million.
Why? Why are you spending that much money on an office? Move them. There are so many other places that you can move them that are cheaper. First and foremost, move them out of California in general. We don't put them there. Okay? If I personally would like to see them in Vegas because you're already playing your football championship game there. You're already playing your basketball tournament there. Just move them to Vegas. Move them to Vegas. It's still going to be a little bit expensive, but it's not going to be as expensive as being in San Francisco. I just, Larry Scott, I've had issues with him multiple times. And I had issues with him last week because we hadn't gotten a gymnastics schedule yet. And the season had already started. I think he tried to throw a Hail Mary pass to save his job when we got the Quidel testing for COVID. I think that was a Hail Mary pass that he was trying to throw to keep his job. And let's just say the corners and the safeties just swatted that down.
Julian Blackmon was there.
Yeah, Julian Blackmon, Jalen Johnson. Secondary. They swatted that down. There's no way that he was going to be retained as commissioner, especially because there was so much pressure from the presidents. And I think it's especially good they voted him out now because President Watkins is stepping down after this semester. And we don't know who our next president's going to be or what's going to happen with that because you need to have a majority of your presidents to be able to vote him out. The last time his contract was up, we didn't have a majority, so that's why he was retained. So I think this was the perfect time to do it. I'm very happy. I don't know who they're going to bring in, but they need to bring someone in who's going to care and show equal love to all of the sports. Because as much as football is king in this conference, you have really good basketball schools. You have two every single year with Utah and UCLA, and Cal is up there too. You have so many elite gymnastics programs that are every single year vying for national championships, and you give them dirt. You pay them dirt. And then no one takes us seriously for football because we're the Pac-12 and we can't get a freaking TV deal. And we play all of our games at 8:30 at night. As much as I love Pac-12 After Dark,
Not every week.
Not every week. Also, maybe put the lesser, the not good games on Pac-12 After Dark. So I'm talking the Oregon State versus Washington State. Put those on Pac-12 After Dark. Do not put Utah versus USC at 8 p.m. on Pac-12 Network. That is the stupid Okay,
reserve after dark for Colorado.
Reserve it for teams that are going to produce a wacky result, because that's what Pac-12 After Dark is for.
Yep.
Okay, whatever. I'm not gonna. I could go on about Larry Scott for hours.
I bet.
Because I've been wronged by this man so many times. I just want to talk to him. That's all I want to say.
No. He's gone. He's had his day in the sun, and now he's gone. And we are all rejoicing, which just goes to show how it took way too long for this to happen, because I don't know if there's a single Pac-12 follower that is sad that he's gone.
I think maybe like an Oregon or like a USC or someone who hasn't been screwed over by him,
I guess. But
like majority of the conference has had nothing but pain from him.
Right. So Sam, I do have a couple statistics for you. So right before I dive into that, I agree with you. I highly doubt that this was a mutual agreement to part ways. While the Pac-12 is considered a Power 5, part of the Power 5, they've taken on the role. Yep, they've taken on the role of the Joker of the conferences. Okay, so the conference has been bleeding under the direction of Scott, as over the last 7 college football playoffs, the Pac-12 has only submitted 2 teams, and none over the course of the last 4 years. Additionally, back in 2018, not a single Pac-12 team made the round of 32 in the NCAA men's basketball tournament, the first time since 1986. Okay. Another embarrassing moment for Scott has been the underperforming Pac-12 network. The inability to sign a contract with DirecTV has left the conference channel bleeding, as back in 2015, it only had 15 million subscribers when it was made available to 90 million homes across the country.
Okay, here's my thing. I love all the people at Pac-12 Networks, Ashley, Yogi, Mike when he was there. All of them are really cool, and they've talked to us at the Crony multiple times. I can't. Like, the fact that the only place I can watch Pac-12 Networks is at my job, it should say something. Yep. Like, if I want to watch Pac-12 gymnastics on Pac-12 Networks, I have to disconnect my laptop from my Wi-Fi, turn on a hotspot, and use an Xfinity login for my internet, like, or for my TV or something, to be able to watch Pac-12 gymnastics that's on Pac-12 Networks. Yep. I shouldn't have to jump through that many hoops to watch my team. I'm living in the state where the school plays.
And especially as a analyst and reporter, I mean, it's really frustrating. There's times that I can't get access to the Pac-12 network to watch Utah basketball, so I have to listen to the radio to know what's going on.
It's a joke. Like, I can understand if Pac-12 Networks is not available in, like, Florida or something like that. But if you live in Colorado, Utah, Arizona, Oregon, Washington, California, hell, even Nevada or New Mexico or Idaho or Montana, if you live in the mountain region, you should be able to get that channel. Definitely. It frustrates me about how many hoops I have to jump through to just watch my team and to cover my team, because I have DirecTV, and it's just like,
You'd think it would be obvious that they'd want to give as many fans access to watch their teams to make as much money as possible.
Also, more people would care about the Pac-12. I think part of the reason why the Pac-12 has fallen flat on their face in the college football playoff is because no one can watch their games.
Yep.
Like, yes, this year was really good and not that many games were on Pac-12 networks, but still, in a regular season, it's not acceptable. Mm-hmm. It's not acceptable, especially when you have powerhouse programs like Oregon and USC and UCLA and Utah, who are 12 networks. It shouldn't be that way.
Right. Well, and Sammy, I think what was just the straw that broke the camel's back with this was just how the 2020 season turned out. I think, and what I mean by that is the conference kind of became a laughingstock as they originally canceled the season, but jumped in at the last minute as to not be the only Power 5 not to play in the fall. And not only that, but the ridiculous protocols also, I think, cost the conference a lot of money, games, and opportunities to play out of conference. Mm-hmm. Because you had teams who because of obviously, trying to keep the players safe. But when one team was available to play still, they should have said, okay, go and schedule an out-of-conference game right away. I don't care who it is, go and do it. And it should have been that way from the beginning of the season. Utah could have added potentially more games. Other schools could have done the same thing. It just, I think that's what broke it.
But isn't Colorado the only team playing an out-of-conference game?
Sorry, what was that?
I said, correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't Colorado the only team that ended up playing an out-of-conference game this year?
I believe so.
See, that's... As much as I was, not for Utah playing BYU, I would have taken it. As much as I wasn't for Washington playing BYU, I still would have taken it. And I just, also, and we're still seeing the repercussions of this now. Mm-hmm. With all of these spring sports, either their schedules not being released whatsoever or being released at the last minute. We had the Utah, the volleyball schedule came out on Monday of this week, and they had games this week. Yep. They cross country, the schedule came out on Thursday, the meets were on Friday. Gymnastics, the schedule came out on Tuesday, and they competed on Saturday. This is not acceptable, and I honestly, okay, I know you say the devil but honestly, I don't think anyone could be worse than Larry Scott.
Well, Sammy, you don't have to worry about him anymore. The bad man is gone. Will never hurt you again. And unfortunately, I got to cut you off because our time is done. But like I said, he's gone. We're excited to see who fills his shoes, and hopefully good things are to come. But we do want to thank everyone for following us today here on Ute Dash. We encourage you to check us out at dashsports.tv and check us out on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok at dashsportstv. Like I said, Sammy, thanks so much. Thanks everyone for following us here today. Let's go ahead and send them out the way that we usually do, Sammy.
Go Utes. And goodbye to Larry Scott. Never again.
Go Utes, guys. Have a good one.